Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight, we have the Allman Brothers Band. So this is going to be Warren Haynes and Derek Trucks, and they're going to be playing through The Sky is Crying, and this is coming from 2011. So let's get these guys up on screen and see how they get on.
The sky is crying. Look at the tears rolling down the street. The sky is crying. Look at the tears rolling down the street. I'm looking for my baby, and I wonder, where can she be? I saw my baby one morning. She was walking on down the street. But I saw my baby one morning. Oh, she was walking on down the street. Looks so doggone pretty that my boy will skip a beat.
I'm just going to jump in here because one thing to say about Warren Haynes, not only his guitar playing but his voice, I think a lot of people just listen to the guitar and somehow the voice flies under the radar of how great he is vocally. Such a bluesy, soulful voice, just absolutely all over it vocally. I always say that playing and singing at the same time is, well, double as hard, it doubles the difficulty. Especially with the blues, you'll find that vocals and lead guitar lines share the spotlight. So you get a vocal and then you get a little bit of a hook where you would have that little bit of guitar lead that then comes in, and then when the vocal comes back in, the guitar then generally drops out. Of course, here we've got a little bit of backing with Derek, but Derek's actually playing slide as he always does, and he's usually tuned to open E, so he's just putting in a few lines here and there. He's not going to be holding down chords with the slide here, just throwing in little lines. It's mostly just that drums and bass, just giving that foundation for everything else then to be applied on top. And the tone that we've got here as well is actually really dry. Obviously there's overdrive on the sound, but in terms of reverb and delay and those other things that tend to get added on a little bit, we haven't got that. And sometimes you even get a natural reverb from the venue, the environment that you're actually playing in, if it's a big venue, but we haven't got that here. It's almost like a direct sound from the mixer that we're getting here, so we can hear exactly what Warren is actually laying down on the fretboard. And Warren just really subtly got rid of the slide as well. You would have noticed in the intro that he started playing slide guitar, and now that slide has disappeared. So while he was delivering that vocal, he just sneaks that slide away in his pocket, and now he's good to go, getting his fingers on that fretboard. And I've just cued it forward a little bit so we can see some lead guitar where the dynamics are a little bit more open, because this video is 11 minutes in length. So there's going to be dynamic changes up and down throughout it. So this is a little bit more open now with Warren now getting into his lead guitar. There we go. And like I mentioned, just really bringing the dynamics down after that solo. But just going into that solo a little bit, Warren's bending is so accurate and so cool, the way that he expresses through the bends, because he does little pre-bends and just half bends and whole tone bends, and he's just all over it, but it's the expression that he puts into it. Another thing is his vibrato. I'm one of those guys that I just love to hear a note. Even just one note with a great vibrato does more for me personally than throwing a million notes at me, in a second. It's just so much expression that Warren gets in his playing, and it's all from that vibrato. Top musicians are absolutely always on the same page, and they can be doing this for not 11 minutes but half an hour or an hour, and they'd always be on the same page dynamically, because they're reading each other's cues musically but also physically as well. And I've just cued it forward again because I'm not going to have time to look at the whole video, but I want to get in a little bit of Derek's slide work, so let's have a look at this. I'm just going to jump in here because if that solo doesn't do something to you, then I don't know. I don't know what to say, because that is just crazy ability on the fretboard, but technically not on the fretboard, because if you play guitar, or if you don't play guitar, you're not actually touching the frets here. So Derek is just sliding up and down, which is actually why he gets such a great journey within the solo. It's so well constructed, because you can see in that first section, he's just sliding up to roughly kind of around the 12th fret is where he's spending that section where it's more dynamically understated, and then as we progress through the solo, the dynamics really start to open up, and then he starts moving up the fretboard, getting higher and higher, getting that crescendo, getting, you know, really up to the top of the guitar, and then even more, because when you're not pressing down on the fretboard, of course, it doesn't matter that your frets run out, because you can keep going up that string. You're still going to get the sound, which is exactly what Derek does at the end there, to get that real crescendo, that ending to the solo is so well constructed. The other thing I love about Derek's slide playing are the incidental notes that he throws in there, because when you play getting your fingers on the fretboard, you get the luxury of doing pull-offs. So it means you can have your little finger on a note, you can have your third finger on a note, you can have your first finger already on a note, and you can play those notes really quickly after each other because your fingers are already there. With a slide, you have got to make a journey to those notes every time you want to play them. So rewind that solo, just the beginning of the solo section again, and have a look at how accurate Derek is at throwing together lines that are all on the same string, but he's so quick at getting from point A to point B that he can put a run together and a little lick that is so fast, all on the same string. I've done one video on Derek before, and I say in that video about he's almost like a machine, and I didn't mean it, or I don't mean it mechanically sounding, because there is so much emotion with the vibrato and the expression that he puts in there, but he's like a machine, how accurate he is in those little sections, snapping to the notes, and just the way that he's constructing this solo is like the perfect journey from start to finish, starting out in a really low place dynamically and gradually climbing that mountain to then at the end you're at the top of the mountain, and then you just jump off the edge of the mountain and you're back into a verse where everything comes down again. Just a quick word on Derek, the fact that he started playing when he was 9 years old, and when he got his first guitar, the reason that he started playing slide was because his hands weren't very big. So with a slide, of course, you don't need to worry about stretching your hand because you can just play with one finger going up and down the guitar. So that's what he started playing, and he absolutely must have hammered the hours getting the practice in. 9, even though it's still really young, is, you know, would be considered a little bit older than normal for these kind of child prodigies that actually pick up a guitar and are playing. For example, Derek got his first paid job when he was 11. So just in those 2 years, he must have spent so much time getting down this technique. Of course, he had the advantage of always being around with this band in particular, because his dad was Butch Trucks, who of course played drums for the Allman Brothers Band. So Derek had that always being around music, or that his uncle played in this band. But Derek has played with so many top artists. I think by the age of 20, he'd already played with loads of really big names. B.B. King, I'm sure everyone's seen that video where B.B. is just listening to Derek play, and then he says that's about the best that I've ever heard, and B.B. knows what he's talking about. But being surrounded by Warren Haynes and Dwayne Allman, of course, when you're learning guitar, can never be a bad thing. I think it's one thing to have those guitarists that you can watch and be influenced by, but it's a whole nother thing to then go away and apply your own sound and your own expression to what they're doing. And Derek certainly has achieved that with a slide. He isn't just a carbon copy of the people that he was watching, that he was growing up watching. He really did take their techniques on board, but then just added his own flavor to it. And that's what we get. That's the result. Some crazy great playing here from Derek, and I haven't seen a bad video of Derek playing slide. It's just absolutely insane the level that he maintains all the time. And I'm not talking about just his technical ability, but his composition, the way that he puts together lead guitar solos in terms of making them like a journey, like we had here, that crescendo. He's got everything down, every element of that musicality and that composition that you're looking for, the melodic ear as well. Derek's really got every ace up his sleeve. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!